Joining us on the program now, a political commentator, Dr. Bryce Edwards. Bryce, kia ora, good morning.
Morning, Andrew, and welcome from Victoria University Student Hub. Sorry, I'm not in my office at the moment, but you're coming to me at the centre of the university.
Centre of the university. Now, you would have had fond memories of Dunedin as well. You were part of Otago University for a period of time. Some happy memories there, I imagine, for you?
Absolutely. I studied there, and then I worked as an academic for 10 years. And Otago, Dunedin, a very special place. Very fond memories. Yeah, I'm tempted to move back.
Not wanting you to pick your favourite in that regard, but hey, I don't know, if the former finance minister happens to be listening and wants to offer you a job, then you would certainly consider it. Just
give me a call, Grant.
Exactly. Hey, when it comes to, I suppose, the response to the budget, now that seems like months ago, and it almost is, honestly, but this last round of polls, perhaps the strongest indication about not what the opposition thought of the budget, but what the voters thought of it. Was this a vote winner or a vote loser, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, on the day, I thought it was fairly lacklustre, and it wasn't really going to change the votes. We've seen a few polls, but the one that last night out, the Kantar poll on One News, showed the parties of government mainly going up. So National was up 2 points, and so was New Zealand First. Okay. So that was quite interesting. And whereas you had Labour and the Greens down 1 point. So these aren't huge shifts, but they're enough to indicate that we haven't really seen lots of protests, kind of pushing people to shift away from the government. So I'd say things are still in flux. But there was one poll question that was really interesting, and that asked the public about whether they thought they were going to be better off, worse off as a result of the budget, or unaffected. And 75% of people thought they'd be either worse off or the same. Wow. So a quarter of people said they'd be better off. Basically, a quarter said they'd be worse off, and half of them said it wouldn't really affect them. So, no, I don't think that the budget was a big success in the popularity stakes, but we aren't really seeing any collapse by any means in government support.
I mean, those two statistics together are quite surprising, because you would have thought if people are thinking, I'm probably going to be worse off or neutral as a result of the budget, you would expect the coalition partners to drop in popularity. What's giving them their buoyancy, do you think, Bryce?
Look, I think a lot of people that might be inclined to support the government would look at the budget and say, well, it's not really going to help me, but it's still the right thing to do. Yep. There's no goodies in there, but I appreciate that these are difficult financial times, and the government might have done the best in a bad situation. So it's not a vote of no confidence in the government to say that the budget's not going to improve an individual's own fortunes.
On the topic of buoyancy, I suppose a lack of buoyancy by the rail version of the Inter-Islander ferry. I mean, this is a key infrastructure. Some people describe the Inter-Islander or the Cook Strait ferries generally to be part of State Highway 1. In terms of infrastructure, that's got to be one of the big ones, right?
Oh, look, we are having an infrastructure disaster at the moment in New Zealand. Everything from electricity, transmission, roading, bridges, hospitals, schools, things have been neglected. There's a deficit in infrastructure. ASB Bank estimate that New Zealand needs to spend $1 trillion to really catch up. So, and the ferries really epitomise that at the moment. We've got Kiwi Rail. They've been crossing the strait for many decades, and of course they're publicly owned. They've got a competitor, Blue Bridge, but the Inter-Islanders ships themselves are pretty old. I think they average about 27 years old, which apparently is very old for a sort of normal ferry service. Yep. And so there's been a program to get new ferries, but this occurred under the last Labour government. As far as I can understand, and I have read all the detail, that was basically botched. That wasn't well managed. And then National have received a bit of a hospital pass with that procurement plan. And potentially they might have botched it as well, because they seem to have cancelled the ferries and without having any sort of plan B of what's going to replace the ferries.
Yeah, I mean,
and so
one of the things you could say is that unlike the ferry, the cancelling of the new ferries hasn't gone down well.
No, it hasn't gone down well at all. And of course, we had that grounding on Friday night of the Aratiri. And that was a shocking situation that shouldn't normally happen, but it comes after other mishaps with ferries in the last couple of years. And so I think it really has put the heat on both Kiwi Rail and the government, and even the other parties, that something has gone wrong here, and there's going to be some urgency required to find some new ships. So from what I understand, even though Nicola Willis has told Kiwi Rail that she didn't like their plans, told them to go back to the drawing board, they still haven't cancelled their contract with the South Korean Hyundai builders. And it might still be a case that the government goes back to those builders and say, well, please keep building them, because we still need some sort of ship. They might ask for some modifications, but we desperately need some new ships very soon.
And hey, already a lot of money been perhaps misappropriated in that contract already, but good money after bad. We're going to need some ships, especially in a week where somebody decides to take all the bolts out of a power pylon, and we've got new storms in Tairāwhiti and Hawke's Bay, and still a pretty strong memory of the last time we had big storms in that part of the country, still recovering.
Yeah, I think the problem is that politicians, governments don't seem focused enough on infrastructure. They're focused on poll results, unfortunately, and all the short-term sort of thinking, rather than infrastructure, by its very nature, is always something that takes many years to produce, and you have to plan ahead, whereas most politicians, I think, are just planning ahead to the next election.
Yeah, certainly. Hey, Bryce, appreciate your comments. As always, nice to chat with you. Have a great day.
Cheers. Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.